Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch, Season 5, Episode 1. A crimson sunrise clawed at the dusky ridgelines surrounding Blind Frog Ranch, casting long, golden streaks over the Utah desert. Dew clung to the high grass, and the air was unnaturally still, as if holding its breath. The team's camp lay nestled below the rocky outcrops, temporary structures hunched under camouflage netting, silent but restless, their walls bulging with secrets. Inside the operations tent, maps lay sprawled across folding tables. The terrain was scrolled with new annotations, fresh GPS marks, sonar readings, depth profiles. A recently retrieved drone photo hovered at the center, a jagged fissure in the high canyon wall where the ground had collapsed last season, revealing the glint of a previously unseen cavern pool. It had been dismissed as a seasonal spring, until the water temperature remained constant and warm, even through the winter. This morning, the team would dive. Heavy boots tramped across gravel. The ATV convoy wound down a brush-choked trail toward the site, engines humming low. The canyon had changed since the rains. A landslide shifted a slab of sandstone to reveal an opening barely a meter wide. Now, with excavation tools and diving gear in tow, the team arrived, parking just beyond the collapse. They unpacked with swift precision. Cameras were mounted. A generator purred to life, feeding lights and oxygen pumps into the cavern. The entrance yawned like a wound inside. Narrow steps had been carved out of necessity over the past few weeks, leading down into the limestone gut of the canyon. Moisture clung to the stone. A sour mineral scent filled the air. At the bottom, the tunnel opened into a cavern with a subterranean pool, black as obsidian. Stalactites loomed above the surface, reflections twisting on the water like ghostly fingers. The lead diver adjusted his mask and tank. A headlamp flicked on, catching glimmers beneath the surface. Calcite growths, maybe. Maybe gold. He plunged. The descent was slow, deliberate. Water closed over him like ink. He passed through a narrow throat of rock and entered an underwater chamber. The beam from his light danced along the floor, revealing an ancient stone shelf. Upon it lay a heap of objects, obsidian blades, jade beads, and, beyond dispute, a golden mask. Up top, the team monitored the diver's progress via sonar and helmet camera feed. The signal crackled, distorted by the rock. Something stirred on the edge of the feed, a shadow, impossibly fast. Static overtook the camera for several seconds. The diver surfaced moments later, breathing hard. The artifact was real, ancient, Aztec in design, impossible in Utah. The team scrambled to recover the golden mask, using a combination of winch lines and flotation bags to hoist it gently from the water. It broke the surface with a gasp, sunlight catching its ornate cheekbones and glyph-marked brow. Not Spanish. Aztec. Far too far north. They packed it in a case lined with foam, tagged and logged it, then began expanding the search. The next dives uncovered more signs, ancient hand-carved steps descending deeper beneath the waterline, niches carved into the stone walls holding offerings, bones, beads, and cinnabar powder that drifted like blood when disturbed. Deeper still, an air pocket chamber revealed itself, hidden behind a curtain of kelp-like moss. Inside, petroglyphs. Not just native, but Mesoamerican. They were vertical, looping, and encoded with solar motifs alien to local tribes. More sonar scans revealed a network branching from the cavern, a submerged labyrinth of tunnels stretching toward the east. A drone sub was lowered, guided remotely. Its tiny propellers whirred as it drifted through the black. The team followed the screen, breath held. The drone reached a dead end, but the wall shimmered oddly. A gentle nudge cracked the illusion. An underwater false wall, built with clay bricks and sealed with pitch. A trap centuries old. The drone reversed. They'd need divers. Days passed. Equipment was reinforced, new air tanks hauled in, and specialists arrived. Archaeologists and hydrologists both. The world beyond Blind Frog Ranch had been watching the show's past claims with skeptical amusement. Now experts gathered at the mouth of the cave, faces masked with concern and fascination. The finds were legitimate. The implications shattering. No one could explain how Aztec relics had reached this far north. On the next dive, a team of 2 broke through the submerged false wall. Beyond it, a wide passage descended at a steep angle, as if the tunnel had been engineered to bypass something above. The walls bore scorch marks, charred soot sealed by water and time. A roof collapse had partially blocked the passage, but a narrow gap remained. They pushed forward, wriggling through stone and shadow. Then, a chamber opened, a dry air pocket protected for centuries. Inside, at the far end, a platform rose resting atop it, a ceremonial box carved from mahogany and inlaid with gold. Around it, bones. Dozens. Human remains, their spines arched unnaturally. Sacrificial victims. The box was sealed with obsidian pegs. No one opened it, yet. Back at base, analysis of the artifacts began. Carbon dating, glyph translation, isotopic sourcing. The golden mask matched materials found in southern Mexico. The cinnabar's signature matched deposits near Veracruz. Experts scoured historical accounts for records of fleeing Aztec priests or migrating relics. One theory emerged. Survivors of the Spanish conquest fled north, following hidden trade routes used long before Europeans ever arrived. They may have carried treasure, not for wealth, but for preservation. They may have buried their gods. As the episode neared its close, tension escalated. The crew's gear began to malfunction near the submerged chamber. Batteries drained rapidly. Cameras flickered. Radio comms cut in and out. A tech specialist, reviewing electromagnetic readings, found spikes, patterns almost like signals. Not mechanical. Rhythmic. Purposeful. One final dive ended with panic. The subdrone, launched again into the lower tunnels, veered off course. On the feed, shapes passed through the beam. Long limbs. Unnatural movements. Then darkness. The drone was lost. The episode's final minutes brought viewers back to the platform room. Under heavy supervision, the ceremonial box was carefully lifted from the cavern and secured in a reinforced case. The plan? Transport it to a university lab for safe examination. But before loading it onto the truck, the crew paused. A geologist noticed something in the stone where the box had rested, thin scratches, freshly disturbed. The sun crept over the Uinta Basin, casting a golden wash across the red rock canyons and dust-stained scrubland. Blind Frog Ranch lay quiet under the rising heat, its weathered structures nestled between jagged ridgelines and tangled brush. But beneath that stillness, tension simmered. A discovery made at the end of the previous season had ignited a fire. A submerged cavern, previously hidden behind a seasonal runoff channel, was rumored to contain traces of something ancient, something powerful. Now, with the arrival of summer, the team was ready to explore it. The drone footage from late fall had revealed the cavern entrance, sealed by centuries of sediment and overgrowth. When flash floods dislodged a sandstone boulder, a glimmer of deep, turquoise water beneath it had caught the team's attention. A preliminary dive had shown more than expected. Submerged steps carved into solid stone, ornate patterns etched along the walls, and fragments of worked obsidian, tools, perhaps, or offerings. The season began at dawn. The cruise trucks rumbled down the gravel road, towing oxygen tanks, hydraulic drills, and camera equipment. The previous night had been spent reviewing blueprints, sonar scans, and ancient maps recovered from the National Archives. One map, badly faded, depicted a mountainous trail with glyphs matching those of central Mexico, thousands of miles from here. At its northernmost edge, the symbol of a cave with a spiral descending below. The team believed it had found that spiral. At the dive site, morning mist clung to the low ground. The entrance had been expanded carefully over the past week. A narrow fissure now widened into a workable tunnel. The limestone rock bore fresh drill marks, but beyond that, nature reclaimed dominance. Moss slicked the walls. Cold air wafted upward from the depths, bringing with it a scent of earth, copper, and something older, something untouched. Inside, light rigs flickered to life. Beams danced across the water, revealing a deep, still pool. The first diver, clad in full gear, stepped into the black. A final adjustment to his helmet light, and then he slipped under. Inside the cave, silence reigned. The diver's light sliced through the gloom, revealing a staircase, deliberately hewn, descending deep into the flooded chamber. Along the walls, patterns emerged. Zigzags, serpent-like curves, the unmistakable shapes of Aztec iconography. Carved figures danced across the stone, locked in eternal ritual. Then something shifted. A glint in the corner. The diver turned. Buried in silt and calcite, a golden object reflected his light. He brushed gently, revealing a mask, sun-shaped, with obsidian eyes and a tongue of jade. The metal was unmistakable. Aztec. But how?